You can listen to the Canadian Gothic early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
The smell is like old, greasy fat. So it's heavy and old smelling. And it rests. It rests on the neighborhood.
Marriage is very important to me, and I'm looking for a life partner, a wife. My pictures on the site may look mean, but I'm not mean.
When I went to the store to get it, they told me they couldn't give me $1,000.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Handsome Aaron Airport. We're back for our 216th attempt at keeping Canada weird by seeking out, highlighting, exploring, and in some cases celebrating all the unique and offbeat news stories that played out across this great nation over the past week. But before we do any of that, let me ask you how you're doing over there.
I'm doing very well. I'm very full. I just came from dinner. And yeah, I went to the Breton Craft House in beautiful downtown Sydney, Nova Scotia, and had one of their wood-fired pizzas.
Any special drinks go on over there?
I did have a light Breton beer, yes.
Okay. A special drink, yeah. You didn't ask, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm doing really well myself. I feel like I'm ready to rock. I think we're just getting started. It's going to be an evening of resistance against the man, of pushing back, of not taking it. It's going to be a rock and roll episode. Do you want to know why?
Of course I do.
This is episode 216. 216 is the area code for Cleveland, Ohio, which is known as the birthplace of rock and roll because that's home to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But it goes deeper than that.
Oh, does it?
216 is an interesting number that embodies rock and roll, specifically heavy metal. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. That's what we're doing tonight. We're not going to be evil, but we are going to hear some stories that really embody the essence of rock and roll because we do have a lot of stories where the common man is pushing back against authority. I'm so excited to get into it with you, but we can't jump in just yet. We got to unveil our special drinks. You didn't have one at the restaurant tonight. You got one for the show tonight.
Why was my beer not special at the restaurant?
I asked if you had a special drink, and you made it sound like I had a light beer. Like it didn't seem like...
I had their Breton Light Lager, whatever it's called, Breton Light or whatever. That's special.
So are you going to do anything on the show, or should we just want me to do mine?
No. I've got a whole other special drink here for the show. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Oh, you want it now? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, it's something I have had on the show before. It's an herbal tea, but it's apple cinnamon. Mm-hmm. And it's by Stash is the name of the company.
You know, I love cinnamon. I use I have a I don't know what they're called, diffuser, an oil diffuser. You put the drops of oil in. I often put cinnamon oil in there, and it's so nice. I see the mug in your hand. It's a big white mug. Does that not have an A on the other side of it?
No, it doesn't. You're thinking of another mug that I have that looks similar, and it has a big A on it. But let me take a sip of my tea first before.
Nice.
Good.
Refreshing. I have a special drink. This is what I'm excited about. I went to the grocery store and I saw a new flavor of Pepsi. I've talked about this on the show several times. It seems like there's been some revolution in soda pop where they figured out a way to add like the flavor of cream and ice cream to pop. There's so many new flavors of cream this and float that. What I saw at the store tonight was Pepsi Cola cherries and cream. This is a zero sugar Pepsi cherries and cream.
Oh.
Delicious. It does taste like if you had a cup of Pepsi, you put some whipped cream and drop the cherry on top and then put the whole thing in a blender. That's what I got in my hand here.
That sounds good. Yeah. Pepsi seems to be releasing a lot of different flavors lately. Their, research and development department must be just working overtime.
Yeah. I think it's just much like what's going on in the coffee in Canada. I think there's a soda war happening and there's like an arms race of deliciousness happening amongst all these soda pop companies. But we can only focus on one war at a time, and we're going to be focusing on the coffee war. We'll mention it in a moment, but first, we got to catch up on a story we covered last week. There's been a significant development related to the stolen play structure that we talked about last week. You remember the whole story of the playground that was stolen?
I do, yes. So you had I believe it was a daycare,
Hmm.
and they had a fenced in play area, and somebody with their truck drove in, smashed through the fencing, and stole the outdoor play set.
You passed your Keep Canada Weird episode 215 memory test, Handsome Aaron Airport. There's been an update to that story. They got the guy. I'll read you a bit of a release from the Winnipeg Police. The Winnipeg Police Service has recovered a play structure that was reported stolen from a daycare in Headingley, Manitoba. On Friday morning, Guiding Minds Montessori School discovered that a large wooden play structure had been removed from its outdoor playground prior to opening. The incident caused damage to the playground fence. Following an investigation, officers obtained a search warrant for a residence in the St. Vital area. On Tuesday, members of the Winnipeg Police Service, with assistance from the Tactical Support Team, executed the warrant at a home on Stranmillis Avenue. During the search, police located the stolen play structure as well as a stolen recreational vehicle. A 35-year-old male has been charged with 2 counts of break-and-enter and theft and remains in custody as the investigation is ongoing. So they got this guy, and I'm glad to hear it.
I would like to know more about the detective work that went into finding this suspect and then arresting them and realizing that they had solved the case.
Yeah, and I would also like to know more about the suspect because this guy, 35-year-old who allegedly stole this playground, he is dangerous enough that they didn't just go knock on his door and be like, we see the playground in your backyard and, we know it's stolen. You got to give it back to us. They got a warrant. They had a tactical team, like a SWAT team, to raid this guy's house for a stolen playground, which is an odd target for the kind of thief that requires a tactical squad.
Yeah, I imagine what happened was because the news story had aired, and probably somebody who lives next door to this individual it's like, I just saw that sketchy guy next door bringing in a play set all of a sudden and setting it up in his backyard, and then probably called the cops on him.
That was probably the first clue, is him showing up with a pre-built play structure. Because I think when you buy a playground, it's in pieces, and you like install it and you attach the slides and everything else. To show up with like a completed play structure on the back of a truck with like broken legs on it and stuff that have been sawed off, obviously, and the whole thing's in the news. Yeah, I'm glad they got this guy. But there's probably a story behind this. I don't know if we'll get that far, but at least we know that the playground is being brought back to its rightful owners. Hopefully they can have it reinstalled and the damage wasn't so severe that the whole thing needs to be thrown away.
Yeah, I'm glad that justice was served in this situation, because oftentimes we talk about a story and we never hear an update, or we can only speculate like, oh, and we hear nothing. But this is one where we talk about it a week later. It's solved. There's still some questions in terms of motive, in terms of exactly what led to this individual being caught. But it's great to know that, and I assume the play structure was returned to the daycare.
Yeah, I would assume so. But again, I don't know if it can be reinstalled, because it sounds like for him to get it out of there, they had to cut the main structural supports. Hopefully they can work something out. But like you said, it's gone back to its right place. And also, like you said, there's often stories that we don't hear anything about. And sometimes we have stories that we get updated on so frequently that listeners complain. I hope the Tim Hortons Dunkin' Donuts war doesn't become one of those sagas that people get sick of hearing about, because we're getting a lot of updates. We're getting a lot of ideas and speculation and opinions on what's going to happen in Canada when Dunkin' Donuts pulls up and tries to take out Tim Hortons. I got a voicemail here I want to play. This one's interesting. It's a listener named Mitch who wants to weigh in on something he refers to as the Tim's fiasco. Here's Mitch.
Hey, Jordan and Handsome Aaron Airport. It's Mitch here from Prince George, British Columbia. I wanted to talk about the fiasco that's going on with Tim Hortons and Dunkin' Donuts. I've never tried the Dunkin' Donuts, but I would definitely like to try Dunkin' Donuts if they ever came to PG. But here we have a little local chain called Daydreams Donuts. And this donut shop is awesome. It's got donuts, they're all cream filled, you know. They make them fresh every day. They do some of them cream filled, some of them aren't, but the ones that are cream filled, so you could get like a coffee espresso donut. It's almost like a coffee cream filling, and then on top they put the cream on top, and then they sprinkle some espresso on, and then they put a little coffee. It's a great little spot. Anyways, thanks guys.
So did Mitch want to talk about Tim's and Duncan's, or is he just Daydream Donuts' biggest fan and he couldn't help but talking of the Greenfield Donuts?
I think Mitch found an open door finally to be able to publicly express his admiration for, what was it, Daydream Donuts?
Daydream Donuts,
Right,
yeah.
right. But I really appreciate the vivid picture that Mitch paints here of these donuts at Daydream Donuts. So it made me want one, and I love a cream-filled donut, and it sounds like that's the place to get one.
Yeah, I like any kind of coffee shop that's like an independent mom pa type hole in the wall donut shop in Canada. That's like, I think that's what's so special, and that's one beef I have with Tim Hortons is it takes so much market space away from places like Daydream Donuts, where it's just this little shop that's just making great coffee and they have people making great donuts. If I'm ever in Prince George, I'm going there and I'm going to get a cream-filled donut, and I'm going to tell them Mitch sent me.
Yeah, I would get that coffee espresso donut he was talking about, but it'd be completely filled to the brim with caffeine. So
Yeah, and
I wonder if they have a decaf version of that donut.
That's an interesting idea. All this to say, I don't think I'll ever be in Prince George. I can't imagine anything in my life that will lead me there.
Well, maybe Mitch and a donut date would be a good reason to go.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, we got to get into it here. There's been a whole lot of weird Canadian news stories that we got to break down. Let's evoke the spirit of rock and roll rebellion. Take our first break, and when we get back, we're going to hear two stories involving consumer complaints. And these are really stories of the little man fighting back against the big answer no from the big greedy company. You ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
When we get back, consumer complaints. This episode of Keep Canada Weird is inspired by Daydream Donuts Cafe in Prince George.
Family owned and operated since opening on International Donut Day in 2021, Daydream Donuts Cafe makes almost everything in-house from scratch, including soups, fresh bread, and a variety of artisanal donuts.
They offer vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, dairy-free, and nut-free options.
So stop by Daydream Donuts Cafe at 415 George Street in Prince George. And if you see someone drooling in the donut display, don't be put off.
That's just Mitch, Daydream Donuts' biggest fan. Handsome Aaron Airport, I promised you a duo of stories involving consumer complaints, and we have two doozies. One actually ties into a lot of different themes we talk about on this show, because yes, it is a consumer complaint, but it's also a story about how things just aren't made to last like they used to be. Let me tell you about it. A Markham, Ontario woman was having trouble with her only 4-year-old stove. After spending $800 for a repair, the damn thing still didn't work, and more work was going to be needed to get it up and running. Here's the story of the $1,000 stove and the $1,600 it'd take to get the thing working.
It's not working. No heat whatsoever.
Louise Renwick of Markham says in early May her 4-year-old oven quit working. She called Samsung, but then decided to go with what she thought was a local repair company. A technician came to her home and charged her almost $800 to change a temperature sensor, but the oven still wouldn't turn on.
So I said, oh, just a minute. I don't think it's working. So I tried it, and it's exactly the way it was before he came in.
She was then told it was the oven's main board that needed replacing. They offered a 10% discount on the part, but with taxes and labor, repairs would be more than what she paid for the stove in the first place.
They won't come back unless I agree to pay another $700-800 on top of the $800 I've already given them.
She hired the A-Team Appliance Repair, which was the first company to pop up in a Google search. On the invoice, it says A-Team Appliance Repair works out of this building in Markham, but the security guard said they left 5 months ago. Our emails to the company were not returned. When we called them, they hung up.
Thank you for calling Appliance Repair Team.
Hello, Lisa speaking. How may I help you today?
Hi, it's Pat Foran calling from CTV News. We're just trying to speak to someone about a complaint. Hello?
That is a very high number of complaints.
The Better Business Bureau says in the past 3 years, there have been 732 complaints filed against the company, and they've been given an F, the Bureau's lowest rating. The BBB suggests checking its website for reviews, calling a manufacturer directly, and to realize some companies pay Google to be the first to pop up in online searches. As for Renwick, she's putting her money towards a new stove, not more repairs.
I can buy a new one for $1,200 that's better than this stove.
That story doesn't surprise me at all. There's two aspects of it that are a little like dark and upsetting. One is that the 4-year-old stove failed this quickly in such a dramatic way that it would cost more to fix the thing than the thing even cost to begin with. That bothers me. It also doesn't surprise me that there are like these appliance repair shysters that are gaming the Google search results things to, rip off people who are trying to repair stuff that's never designed to be repaired anyway. It all sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good advice going directly to the Better Business Bureau website to see what somebody's what that company's rating would be before you hire them. But
maybe, but it's a bit of an archaic way to go though, because really the Better Business Bureau, it's really doesn't seem to any different than like just some random review website. But I guess it's harder to game it.
I think there is some validity to it. So yeah, it is kind of an old school thing, the Better Business Bureau, but I do believe that it is a trusted way to get information on a company, to see their rating, because that rating is legitimate.
Yeah. And I guess just because like what they talked about in that news clip there is like, a lot of people don't realize you can pay to just have your company show up high in the search results. If you didn't know that, a company could seem reputable just by being the first result. If I search like, Halifax, Nova Scotia repair, this one pops up right at the very top, I may be led to think like, oh, they're probably the guys to talk to in Halifax. But you never really know. But I feel bad for her. And it's a bad story when the news like covers it and the news clip doesn't end with, and we managed to get in touch with the company and it's all going to be worked out. Like it's a consumer complaint they could not win for her. That company was just like, no, we don't want to talk to you. You give us a hard time. We're just going to change our names and continue to rip people off.
Yeah, there's two things I want to bring up about this story. First is I wonder what the warranty was on the stove.
Well, she had it for 4 years. I bet you it was like a year or two.
Yeah, it was probably 2 years tops, I would say.
I would think so.
And the second thing is with the news broadcaster, and I don't feel like they contacted this company. When they called them and they're like, yeah, this is so-and-so from CTV News. We're calling about a complaint, and then click. Why would you lead with your calling about a complaint? Wouldn't you want to get the right person on the phone first and then come in with? So I feel like they knew that was going to be good TV for them, and it was going to play into the aspect of the story that this is a sketchy company and an evil company. So I'm going to lead with I have a complaint because I want them to hang up on me. So I feel like that was a bit of theater that they were putting on there.
Well, I think there's a lot of theater that goes on in these news stories, especially the consumer complaint ones. In fact, the next consumer complaint we're going to get into, I think has a whole lot of theater into it. Maybe we'll just jump right into it since I segued like that, unless you got anything else to say.
No, you already segued. I had a whole monologue about the older woman, and I was going to completely tear her a new one, and how it's all her fault. And I had a whole, and all the connections I made and everything. And I was going to completely paint you a story about her life. And I was going to walk you from day one when she was born to what brought her to this moment and why she deserves it. So, but I won't now. We've already segued.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad we missed that. One thing about the woman. Let's just take a moment. Her big mistake was having a belief that products are made to last, and when they fail, there are honest people who will come and fix it. Things ain't like that no more. It's a 4-year-old stove is a dinosaur in this day and age, and it's a damn shame, and the world's worse for it. But let's move on. Like I said, many of these stories seem to be manufactured, and there's a bit of theater going on. Think about that when we listen to this next consumer complaint. This one involves a 98-year-old woman from London, Ontario, who won $1,000 on a scratch ticket, but found her prize being held up because she didn't have the valid photo ID that was required to redeem the prize. Here's the story of the 98-year-old woman who's mad at the lottery, but despite that has a huge smile on her face in this news clip. Here she comes.
She's been disappointed a bit. I can tell. She can't go out shopping and spend her windfall.
Brian Burrows of London says his 98-year-old mother, Jessie, has been frustrated trying to cash in her winning $1,000 scratch and win ticket. She hit the jackpot in early April.
Well, I was excited. I thought, this is terrific. I can pay off my visa. But I've had real trouble getting it.
While prizes of $999 or less can be paid out by a retailer if they have the money available, winnings of $1,000 or more are processed through the OLG Prize Center.
When I went to the store to get it, they told me they couldn't give me $1,000.
If you win over $1,000 in the lottery, you need valid ID to collect it. You can't use your Ontario health card, but you can use your driver's license, passport, or Ontario photo card. But it has to be up to date and not expired. Jessie no longer drives and her passport is no longer valid.
I took pictures of the ticket front and back and the pictures of her ID, but they said her passport was expired.
Brian just wants his mother to collect her rightful prize.
She's 98 and she's a very law-abiding person all her life, worked hard all her life, and here she is, and she wins $1,000 and she's still waiting for it.
CTV News reached out to the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation, and a spokesperson said the prize center arranged to have OLG investigators visit her at her home, confirm her identity, and complete the prize claim. Miss Burrows was declared the rightful owner of the ticket and is being paid her $1,000 prize. That was great news for Jessie, who says she plans to pay off her credit card bill and maybe try her luck with one more scratch-off ticket.
Just before we break down everything that's at play there, is there theater going on in this? Like, I wonder if all this was settled before they even sat down. Because, like I said, this entire clip, the news clip we just watched, she has an ear-to-ear smile.
It sounds like she got her $1,000 already.
I think she maybe did. And I also think this isn't, like, if this is supposed to be like a consumer complaint story, but really, OLG, which stands for like the Ontario Lottery something, it's like the Ontario government lottery regulator thing. They seem to come out looking great here. They went above and beyond by sending a team of investigators to her house to just do it all in person. Like, I think this should be told in the context of like a nice, sweet outcome rather than a consumer complaint.
Yeah. They really painted it as the ultimate struggle that she went through to get this, or, you know, to potentially get this $1,000. But I'm happy she got the money. And at 98, I mean, she talked about her credit card debt, and
I worry about that.
Yeah, that kind of perked my ears a little bit, because that's certainly not a good plan or a good reason to buy lottery tickets, to think that, oh, I can go into credit card debt and then just win the lottery and pay it off.
And I'm certainly not one to give financial advice or offer financial criticism, but I would be surprised to hear that many 98-year-olds carry credit card debts.
Yeah. I don't know how common that is.
I don't think it's very common, but I will say she is not your common 98-year-old. She sounds great. She looks like she is youthful and full of energy for a 98-year-old. So maybe we should all be carrying a bit more credit card debt.
Well, it's meaningless invisible money anyway, so who cares? You'll figure it out.
Especially when you're 98, right? Like
Yeah, when you're 98, it's like, I'm planning to get a lot more, actually.
I'll have all the credit card debt I can have.
Yeah. But I want to ask you something, though. Who's your favorite out of these two stories? Which older woman is your favorite? Do you like Broken Stove Woman, or do you like $1,000 Woman?
They're two very different seniors. Broken Stove Woman is, she was trying to do the right thing, but she was a little naive and gullible, and she kind of fell for not necessarily like an outright scam of getting the repair done, but she kind of got tricked a little bit or misled. I feel bad for her. This 98-year-old woman with the credit card debt and the gambling problem, given that this is episode 216 and 6 times 6 times 6 is 216 and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame uses that area code, I'm going to go with the rebel, the 98-year-old woman with the credit card debt and now $1,000. I think she should take that $1,000 to like Vegas or something and probably also have a TV crew follow her.
Yeah, I'd say she already has it spent. I'd say as soon as she got it, she was out the door and she went to an expensive donut shop and bought a bunch of donuts. And then she went and purchased more lottery tickets. And because she's like, I have my credit card to buy all the other things. So
yeah. So who's your favorite?
My favorite? I feel like since you went with the $1,000 lady, I'm going to go with the stove lady because she's more salt of the earth. She's going. True. She's not living in some fantasy world where she can use her credit card to fund her lavish, luxurious lifestyle. She's just there trying to get her stove to work, and when her stove doesn't work, she's looking for solutions to get it to work because she's got meals to cook, she's got mouths to feed. She's a real workhorse, and I really respect that about her.
Either way, at the end of the day, two lovely older ladies with consumer complaints, and I'm glad to give them a platform here on Keep Canada Weird, despite the fact that the second lady with the lottery ticket seemed to have her problem worked out before the crew even showed up, it seemed.
Well, you don't trust her at all. I'm surprised you picked her as your favorite. From the beginning, you were painting it as theater, as she was putting a show on.
I don't think she is. I think the news company put the show on. I think they probably got wind of this complaint and they're like, okay, we'll research it and we'll come do a show about it. They sent off an email to the OLG before they get to her house. And the OLG is like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, we'll send some people over there. We'll take care of that today. And the news is like, oh man, like we just ruined our own story. Let's just film it anyway. And they're trying to coach her, like, act like you're really like upset about this. And her son does a decent job being like, she's really upset about this. She can't spend her money. But she's sitting there with what I'd refer to as a shit-eating grin the entire time, knowing she got $1,000 in her pocket.
Yeah, but see, you're basically calling her a liar because if she was completely on the truthful end of this, she would have spoken up.
Maybe she did, and they edited it out. People do that sort of thing.
People do, but
this is the fake news media.
I mean, all we can judge it on is what we have in front of us. So,
yeah,
I really think you should pick the stove lady.
Okay, I'll think about it. We got to get on with the show here. We can't spend the entire night debating the pros and cons of these two seniors. Let's move on to our next segment. We have a segment that I know you always like. I have a duo of stories involving stinky places. Both of them are in New Brunswick. So this is going to be our first New Brunswick Stinky Places show segment. Are you excited for this?
I guess so, yeah. I didn't know that I was into stinky places stories. That's news to me, but
you always enjoy them. You watch. When we get into these stories, you're going to find yourself enjoying it. Right after this break, we'll start. Handsome Aaron Airport, let's open this segment with a voicemail. This voicemail is not specifically about a stinky place. It's going to be more so about a sketchy place. You remember talking about the Stardust? I think it's called the Stardust Motel. You stayed there recently and brought it up on the show and you had positive things to say about it?
Yeah, well, I wanted to pitch it as a new business that we talk favorably about because we had Robin's Donuts, we had Cove Soda, and then I think next in line, naturally, is the Stardust Motel.
Okay, well, let's see if it works, because we have a listener named Keith who heard you waxing poetic about the Stardust Motel, and he wanted to share his experience there.
Hey guys, this is Keith calling from Truro. Love the show. I think it was episode 214 where you guys were discussing motels and hotels, and Aaron mentioned the Stardust Motel. So about 20 years ago, there was a Thai food restaurant attached to the hotel, and I went there for supper one night with my sister, and we went in the restaurant, and they were seating everybody on the right side of the restaurant as you walked in, and it was getting kind of busy, and I'm like, why aren't they seating anybody on the left side? It's so busy on the right side. It's so weird. And so all of a sudden we looked over, and we saw some police tape out the window, and the next thing you know, they were, you see a stretcher go by with a dead body on it, being escorted by the police. And so we're like, oh, that's why the restaurant doesn't want to be affiliated with the dead body going by. But that was our experience eating at the Thai restaurant attached to the Stardust Motel. Thanks, guys.
Sounds like the kind of thing that happens at a motel.
I disagree. I think that 20 years ago was a different time, different climate, different set of rules. So the Stardust of 20 years ago is not the Stardust of today.
That's probably safe to say, yeah.
Safe to say, yeah. And I must say, my experience, it was a year ago, so it's much more recent than the dead body situation. And it was a lovely experience. And again, I can't say how clean these rooms were because not even just the rooms, because with motels, they're like the door is to the outside. So and it's a 2-level motel. So I had to walk upstairs and reach a platform, like a balcony, and then that's where my room was. And even the stairs going up to the balcony and like the outside landing areas were all so clean. And I was like, this place is spotless. Like, this is cleaner than a lot of nice hotels I've stayed at.
Okay, good. When he was telling his story, he described like going into the restaurant, they're seating everyone on like the right, which was on the opposite side of the restaurant than the window. I didn't know where that was going to go, but I was thinking like that happens a lot. You walk in a restaurant and they're kind of putting everyone together, and I'm sure that's just to make the server's job easier to get all the customers in one spot. But it drives me nuts when that happens. You go in a restaurant and there's it's wide open, but they sit you next to at a table right next to the only other people in there. Mm-hmm. I don't like that.
Yeah, and I understand from the server's perspective, it's like they have an area and they want to keep their area confined so that they're not having to run back and forth. We want to sit all the way over on that end, and then my other table is all the way over on the other side of the restaurant. So
yeah,
that logistically is challenging for the server. So I understand the hostess sitting you next to the only other table in the restaurant.
Yeah. I don't shy away from my ignorance on a lot of things. One thing I'm ignorant about is I've never worked in a restaurant, so I don't really get anything about that. And I've also never worked a job that relied on tips. So I have like a bit of a hard time with that too. Not a hard time like tipping people, but just a hard time really like understanding it. I think everyone should probably work a job where they're serving and relying on tips. Like that's one thing about myself. I wish I had that experience.
Yeah, I've had that experience. I've worked a few service jobs with tips, waiting tables, and I've done a lot of dinner theater too. So
are you better for it, would you say?
Am I better for it? I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. It was really fun for me. I enjoy talking to people and listening to them and making them happy, and that's a way to do it. You're bringing people food. When they ask you for something, you go and get it for them, and then they give me a little bit extra money for it.
I promise you a duo of stinky places in New Brunswick specifically. Let's start with the first one. It involves chips, potato chips, one of my favorite snacks. And I think you're a chip guy too, right? You like a crunchy chip.
A crunchy one? Yeah, I do prefer them crunchy. I had chips today. Ruffles.
Kettle cooked?
No. Ruffles, sour cream, and bacon.
Okay. Well, a group of residents in Woodstock, New Brunswick are preparing legal action against the Covered Bridge Potato Chip Company, claiming the company's new factory has brought noise, traffic, disruption, and a god-awful stench to their neighborhood. Here's the story of the Stinky Chips lawsuit.
Covered Bridge Potato Chips turned its Woodstock, New Brunswick warehouse into a processing facility last year after a fire destroyed the company's original factory near Heartland. It did not take long for complaints in the factory's new neighborhood to mount, ranging from concerns about the lights, the sounds, and the smells coming from the factory. Susan Ryan is a nearby resident.
The smell is like old, greasy fat. So it's heavy and old smelling. And it rests. It rests on the neighborhood. So there's some days that it's just 3 or 4 days of this constant old, greasy potato chip fat.
Ryan is one of 17 residents in the neighborhood who have launched a legal claim against Covered Bridge Potato Chips. The residents allege the factory has caused a significant and ongoing disruption to their lives. In a statement to CTV, Covered Bridge's Vice President Brooke Dickinson says the company has made attempts and will continue to work to address concerns from residents. Dickinson says the company, which employs more than 110 people, plans to erect a fence, plant trees, and also add demisters and mufflers to stacks on the factory's roof. The company offered no comment on the legal claim launched a few weeks ago.
The town municipal plan states that large industry is to be directed outside of town, and this industrial park is to take on a more business-like park atmosphere. That obviously hasn't happened, and I want to see the town follow their bylaws in their municipal plan.
Resident Gordon Porter says people in the neighborhood were initially led to believe that the company set up here would be temporary. We also made a request for comment from the town of Woodstock. The municipality says it will not comment on any matter that is before the courts.
Damn, that's quite the predicament they got going on over there.
Yeah, it's awful publicity for Covered Bridge. The idea that Covered Bridge gives you is this very folksy, the implication that these chips are being made in a very kind of small town way.
Yeah, for people unfamiliar with this brand, because I don't know if they're sold outside of Atlantic, Canada, Covered Bridge is like I've always thought like a small chip company. And just as you said, Aaron, the marketing is more like, we're just a small chip company. We're getting our potatoes from local farmers and we're doing it the old fashioned way and giving you the good chips. But the way this sounds, they're kicking butt in this neighborhood. When you look at the news clip, it seems like it's pretty rural. Like even the lady who's like talking about the stench that she describes is like, she's like, it's a very old, greasy stench, and it just sits. Mm-hmm. It sits on the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Like people have the problem with these stinky places news stories is it puts the people in this impossible position of explaining and describing the
explaining an invisible thing.
Yeah, but anyway, and she's delivering this speech about how it sits low on the neighborhood, it looks like she's in the forest, like she's kind of outside of the city. And she says herself, she says, industry shouldn't be in this industrial park.
Yeah.
That's for businesses. Because there's business parks and industrial parks. She says industry like this shouldn't be in this industrial park that's focused on business. So where should they be if the industry shouldn't be in the industrial park?
It sounds like there is no park available in her eyes for this type of business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that potato chips would create a lot of stink, but I guess there would be a lot of grease going on.
I would have imagined it would be a lovely smell, like as if you were near a chocolate factory, or the best of both worlds could even be you have a potato chip factory on one side of town and a chocolate factory on the other side of town. And then they combine in the middle to make this just very sweet and salty combination of a lovely aroma that blankets the city in a warm embrace.
But with chips, like, is salty a smell? Like, if you think of the smell of a chip, you can't smell the saltiness. You do smell the grease.
Yeah, well, I've never really smelled a chip. I mean, I when I open a bag, obviously there is a smell, but it's an inviting smell. It's like, ooh, I'm
That's
about
true.
to eat delicious chips smell. And so that's why I'm surprised to see such an offensive reaction to if somebody told me a potato chip factory is opening up down the street, I'd be like, ooh,
I wonder,
I love potato chips.
how can I get free potato chips? My first thought would be like, what happens when a batch goes wrong? Will they maybe they cook them too much or not enough? Will they give them to the neighbors?
Oh, I don't know. We'd have to go and hang out by one long enough to find out.
Find a worker on his way out and be like, if things go wrong and you guys got like a truckload of chips that are not working out for you for whatever reason, quality control stuff. I live 3 doors down from here. I won't go on the news about this if you show up every couple weeks with, some chips.
Yeah, that's one way to approach it. I would have liked to have seen a town hall of a large group of people talking about the smell.
It would come across like a Simpsons episode for sure.
But then we would know, do we just have, none of the reporters in the story talked about them smelling it.
That's true. And that's usually kind of a cliche of these stinky places, news reports. The person complaining has to describe the stink, and then the reporter usually will give their take on it. And it is it sits low.
There's a heavy smell, but, I don't know. It just smells like business. I don't know.
You'd be surprised at how some manufacturing companies do stink, though. In not far from where I live, there's a brewery for beer, and that can be a god awful stench that smells nothing like beer.
Yeah, you're getting into yeast and things like that.
Yeah, it's a real weird smell. And another weird smell is there's a coffee roaster. It's a small independent coffee shop, which I love, but they roast their own beans. They do it every once a week or every second week or something, where they actually take the beans and cook them before they make the coffee with them. And the smell that comes out of that building when they're roasting coffee beans it's like coffee from hell.
Well, I remember when my father used to brew beer when we were growing up, and the smell was awful.
It's just like a swamp, eh?
It smelled like death.
Yeah. Let's move away from that disgusting thought and move to something only slightly better. And that's the story of a pile of trash that's pissing off a lot of people in Moncton. Residents of Whitney Avenue in Moncton say a giant pile of garbage has been sitting on the curb for about a month, and it's growing piece by piece into a full-blown eyesore. Here's the story of the pile of trash in Moncton.
Isn't that crazy?
Nathan Daigle first noticed all of this trash beginning to pile up about a month ago.
Every day we come home from work, it seems to be a little bit bigger, so we would hope the city would do something about it, but they haven't done anything about it yet.
His neighbor across the street, even less happy about it.
I think it's embarrassing, and I think it's disgusting that the city would allow that to pile up and stay there as long as it's been.
Bedposts, chairs, living room furniture, vacuums, an artificial Christmas tree, even a pizza box have all been tossed aside. The pile is spilling over to the sidewalk.
It's been an eyesore for a bit there, so it's not really something nice to look at whenever you come out of your house there, but wondering whenever the stuff is going to be picked up by the city, or somebody's going to do something about it at least.
A spokesperson for the city of Moncton confirms that bylaw enforcement has received a complaint about the giant pile of garbage here on Whitney Avenue, and they are investigating. Neighbors did see some activity earlier this month.
Whenever people were seen to be moving out maybe, and then they just put a whole bunch of stuff out to the curb, and then afterwards it just disappeared, so no movements ever since.
Moncton does offer a bulk waste collection program for residents who apply in advance for the service. This home appears to be vacant.
Kind of surprised the city isn't doing anything about that if it's been sitting there for a month. If in Halifax, I know if I put something out to the curb on garbage day and it's inappropriate or whatever, they put a little sticker on it that says why they wouldn't take it. And I think you have a certain amount of time to get rid of it before you get a fine or something. what's going on at this house in Moncton is way past the line of what's reasonable. It looks like an entire apartment's worth of stuff is just piled up, spilling onto the roadway and onto the sidewalk. It's disturbing. A complaint to bylaw enforcement should have had this dealt with in like days. And if it's not dealt with, whoever owns that property should be getting some heavy threats from the city. Like, we're going to just get this out of here and you're paying for it if you don't deal with it.
Yeah, and certainly it wasn't the person that owns a property that put the garbage there, but whoever they were renting to.
Yeah, they must have just, when they moved out, just put all their crap at the curb and left with backpacks by the look of it.
Yeah, well, they were thinking to themselves, what are we going to do with all this stuff? It's like, well, let's just put it out on the curb and someone else will deal with it. And they're right. Someone else will deal with it eventually. So
it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while and some complaining to a news organization and, you know, the neighborhood coming together in some kind of an organized fashion. And eventually it will be taken away. But it won't be something that these individuals will have to worry about. They can just walk away.
It's weird that they took like these slummy tenants, which it seems like they're slummy tenants. They moved out and they just left this massive amount of garbage on basically on the front lawn of the place they were renting from, it seems. I'm surprised they even brought it out of there. Like, because if you're going to leave this kind of mess outside of your building, is it that much worse to just walk out of the apartment and leave all the crap inside? Like, what are they risking? Their damage deposit, I guess.
If the landlord was going to inspect the place before they give the damage deposit back, then they would have seen the big giant pile of garbage outside and be like, well, I'm not giving you your damage deposit back. You just left a giant pile of garbage in the yard. So
yeah, and if they left all their stuff inside, the landlord would still have to deal with it, but at least if it's all inside, he doesn't have to deal with the neighbors on the news.
Yeah, no, it's so I again, it would be amazing to have access to these individuals to ask them what the hell happened. But
I bet you'd hate them. You'd be like, you guys.
Well, I'm not going to spend time with them. I'm just going to ask them once on the show, like, why did you do that? And then they tell us, and then we just hang up.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to do it. We should work that into the show. They'd be just like one question, rude interviews.
We just call it the hang up segment, and it's just somebody we get on the phone that we can hang up on.
Or we could call it the condescending minute.
Oh.
Where they have 1 minute on the show and we don't give them any respect. The question is like with ill intent.
Right.
And then we hang up.
Well, to me, it's just about the hang up.
Okay. That's the moment.
Like, it's just hanging up on somebody. Yeah. So it's getting somebody on the phone on the show that we know is going to be saying something ludicrous and stupid.
Hang up.
So then we get to hang up on
It's
them.
almost like the antithesis of the special drink segment, because with the special drink segment, you get that satisfaction of the cracking of the pop. You know, you crack the pop open and you're just like, have a big drink. The condescending minute segment, you would get the satisfaction of hanging up, like the chunk. It's a very similar, like whatever it does in your brain and in your body. It's a very similar feeling. Cracking open a pop, hanging up a phone.
But we don't get to hang up anymore because we have iPhones, smartphones now. We don't get that ultimate satisfaction from the 80s and the 90s when you literally would be able to smash that phone handle down and really put some aggression into your hang up.
Yeah, just that plastic on plastic smashing. Hanging up now on an iPhone is so pathetic.
Yeah, the other person on the other end hears a bloop, bloop, bloop.
And you're just tapping the screen. They think you dropped the call, so they're like, should I call back? Did they do that?
It doesn't, you don't get that click.
Yeah, like, oh, damn.
So we'd have to edit in the hang up sound afterwards.
Or we could go it's called Foley when you do the sound effects. We would go to Value Village, buy an old phone. I'd set up mics and you could like slam the phone down.
Well, we could do it live actually. So when the hang up happens, one of us is holding an old phone in front of our microphone, and as I'm seeing you push the button on the phone, then I'm slamming down the receiver.
That would do it. That could be a good segment. We can consider that. But all this to say, we've gone through our 2 stories of stinky places, but we're not done here yet with the weird Canadian news from the past week. We have a bit of a palate cleanser. It's a good one, and it's one that's very much in the Keep Canada Weird wheelhouse. It's about the quest for romance, the quest for love, the journey to find someone's soulmate, but they're not doing it by way of the Keep Canada Romantic segment. They put up a damn billboard in their community. A 40-year-old Edmonton man named Spencer Griffin Beale is looking for a wife, and instead of going on this podcast or some dating app or hanging out at a bar, he spent thousands of dollars putting up billboards across the city. Here's the story about Spencer and why someone may want to marry him. Here it comes.
This billboard on a busy West Edmonton intersection features ads of all kinds.
There's my sign.
Including one looking for love.
Marriage is very important to me, and I'm looking for a life partner, a wife.
Spencer Griffin Beale is taking an unconventional approach to finding love. He's advertising his desire to get married through a billboard campaign.
I had to think outside the box and think of a way that I can stick out more than all the online profiles and everything.
MarySpencer.ca is splashed on the ads. There you can learn more about the 40-year-old and send a submission if you're interested. He says conventional dating methods just aren't panning out.
My impression that I got from the dating event I was at last night was that everybody, just like me, is frustrated with the online dating.
For Griffin Beale, he's hoping this billboard campaign works.
If they're interested, just don't be afraid to reach out. My pictures on the site may look mean, but I'm not mean.
And that his future wife is just a click away.
What do you think about this?
I like at the end how he's like, the pictures on my site may look mean, but I'm not mean. It's like, well, then why didn't you take nice pictures of yourself?
I know what he's referencing. So this billboard is very simple. It's just like, MarySpencer.ca. That's his website. And it just says something like, I don't know, like looking for a wife. When you go to his website, it says a little bit about him, and it only has a handful of photos, but he needs like a little bit of matchmaking help because the main photo that you find is him wearing a shirt with a really offensive, it's a band name, I think, but for someone who's not into like really dark heavy metal stuff, you would never know that Dying Fetus is the name of like an underground death metal band. So when you get on his website, he's wearing a shirt that's a black t-shirt and it just says the words Dying Fetus on the front of it. Unless he only wants to find a mate who's into like late 80s, early 90s, super underground, dark death metal stuff, I think a lot of people would be turned off by that photo.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have recognized the words Dying Fetus as a band name. I would think.
I didn't. I had to Google it. I'm like, what the hell is he wearing that? Like, what is this all about? In fact, I have the shirt on the cover thumbnail for this episode, and I decided to censor that because it's so offensive. Why would he? I just kind of feel like this guy needs a bit of matchmaking help.
And I'm sure since this news story has aired, I'm sure he's gotten that advice in waves from emails and messages on his site for people who saw the newscast and then went to his site and are like, Jesus, this guy needs some advice. And then sent him that advice unsolicited.
Well, I wonder if the newscaster even gave him that advice because there's one spot in that news clip where it shows his website and it's kind of like scrolling down his website shit like as the narration in the news clip is going, and they start their scroll right after the photo of him with that shirt on. So I think they even they're like, we're not showing that photo in our news clip. So I think they knew as well. I wonder if they told him.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe somebody who's also a fan of that band sees the billboard or the news story and goes on to his website and is like, I love that band too. And then messages him and they fall in love.
Maybe. But I think he's just really like... maybe his own worst enemy by having that photo up on there. I don't want to beat that point over the head because we all have different tastes in music and we all share our interests in different ways. As far as searching for a mate by putting billboards up, he says his goal is just to stand out amongst all the online daters. I think it does that at least.
It certainly sets him apart. Yeah, it's whether it'll be effective or not. We'll have to let time tell that story, but
it's also clear he's not putting all his eggs in one basket, because what a big coincidence that the night before he was on the news about his billboards, he was also at a singles dating event.
Yeah, well, I was going to suggest, why isn't he going, if his city or town has any singles events, that's a good way to meet people outside of dating apps, because certainly we know there's a growing frustration with dating apps all over the world. And people are rejecting them now and trying to meet people out in the wild, as they say. So I wish him all the best in that. And it's a unique way to go about it. And I applaud him for that. If you're going to go through that extreme amount of effort, you would have think that he at least would have spent some time on the website.
Mm-hmm. The website is a little bit pedestrian. If anyone wants to see it, again, it's maryspencer.ca. Quite a few photos of him. He seems like I think 3 photos of him. He seems like a nice guy. He doesn't use drugs of any kind. He believes in working hard. Seems like a great guy. I would, if this episode ever finds its way to Spencer, send us a 1.5-ish minute recording of you telling us who you're looking for and what makes you special and what makes your ideal partner special. And, we can give it a go too. If you want to branch out and try things other than online dating and putting billboards up, come on the Keep Canada Romantic segment and we'll see what we can do.
That's right, because that's certainly something he hasn't tried. And this sounds like the type of guy that is willing to try anything to meet his future wife. And he said he's not mean. So
yeah, take his word for it.
Yeah, he's not mean. Or he said he's not mean. Do you trust that, though? Because someone who says they're not mean usually ends up being mean. Do you think?
Yeah, that sounds an awful lot like something a mean person would say before they did something mean to you.
Yeah, as he coughs under his breath anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm not going to vouch for Spencer. I haven't met him. If I had a chance to interview him, maybe then I could say he's mean or not mean. But at this point, the jury's out on if he's mean.
Yeah, again, we can only judge this situation based off of what we have in front of us, and all we have is Spencer saying, "I'm not mean,"
and a photo of him in a T-shirt that says "dying fetus."
Those are the only 2 things we know about him, is that he says he's not mean and he loves Dying Fetus, the band.
All right. Well, I think we've been through enough tonight. Should we put a bow on this? We've been going all night, but I guess if you got consumer complaints, stinky places, people putting up billboards trying to find wives.
Sometimes the week in Canadian news is extensive.
This actually was a very big one. I think I had 3 or 4 stories that didn't make the cut and we couldn't get to them. So yeah, the past week, for whatever reason, there was something in the water. There was something in the air, and it was smelled old, and it kind of sat low over the community.
Yeah, it did. And it reeked.
Let's put a bow on this. Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, bus stop, backhoe, numbers, Bonaparte. Until next time.
I just want to ask, maybe this isn't the time to do it, but am I doing better with the numbers?
Yes, you've been good. I still hate it, but it's been good.
Okay.
I mean, it's been better. Let's just say that. I'm not mean, by the way. And Jordan, until next time, I don't need to scratch a lottery ticket to feel like I've won the lottery, because I've got you, and you're not mean.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com. offbeat.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. Our premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
Imagine you have billboards all around town to find a wife. You're spending your money, and that's the picture you lead with?
Dying fetus.
It's obscene, right? I'm sure the band's not good. I haven't listened to them, but no band with any...
God, we've come this far. Let's see. Spotify.
It's probably not even on Spotify because they wouldn't accept that name.
Oh, you're wrong, buddy.
They're on there?
Oh, yeah. Would you like to hear Grotesque Impalement?
Yeah. That's what I expect. The singer was awful. I don't like that style of vocal, but that drummer was great.
The band sounded actually good.
The music was, it sounded like if you didn't have that singer, it sounded like Slayer.
No, I was actually expecting way worse. Some of their titles of their songs are great, though. That was Grotesque Impalement. They have the next one's called Praise the Lord.
Oh, wow.
Then it's Subjected to a Beating. In the Trenches.
Subjected to a Beating is a great song name.
The next one charts. It's called From Womb to Waist.
Ugh. They should have called the band Subjected to a Beating.
Yeah. Epidemic of Hate. Your Treachery Will Die With You. Oh, here's a good one. Wrong One to Fuck With.
He must have felt so badass when he wrote that song.
Oh, man.